A low buzz fills the arena, the kind that vibrates through the soles of your feet and settles in your chest. Amara Bell stands at the edge of the mat, fingers dusted with chalk, eyes locked on the uneven bars. The metallic scent of sweat and anticipation hangs in the air. She rolls her shoulders back, jaw set, every muscle coiled with purpose. The crowd's noise shifts, a ripple of expectation, a few murmurs, and then a single pointed jeer from the stands. "Let's see if she can handle the pressure," a voice calls, sharp and dismissive. Coach Elena Martinez sits just beyond the mat, hands clasped tight, her knuckles pale against the navy of her tracksuit. She doesn't speak, but her gaze never leaves Amara, willing her forward. A judge adjusts his glasses, pen hovering, expression unreadable. In the row behind him, a group of parents exchange glances, some curious, some skeptical, all waiting for a misstep. Amara inhales, slow and deep. Her chest rises, then falls. She steps forward, the mat soft underfoot, and leaps to the bar. The first swing is smooth, her body moving with practiced grace. The bars groan under her weight, a sound that echoes every time she's been doubted, every time she's been told, "Not for you." Her hands move with certainty, release, catch, twist, each motion a silent answer to the eyes that weigh her worth. A girl in the wings, not much younger than Amara, watches with wide eyes, clutching a towel to her chest. One of the assistant coaches offers a quiet nod, respect passing wordlessly between them. In the stands, the jeer fades, replaced by a hush as Amara's routine builds, difficulty stacked on difficulty, risk on risk. She lands her dismount, feet planted, arms raised. The arena holds its breath, the moment suspended. Elena exhales, a smile breaking through her tension. Amara's eyes scan the crowd, meeting every gaze without flinching. She's not asking for approval, she's demanding recognition, and in the stillness that follows, it's clear she's earned it. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. The applause from Amara's landing lingers for just a moment before Derek Rhodes, sitting a few rows back, leans forward with a calculated sneer. "That's it? Should have picked someone who actually fits the team," he mutters, voice low but sharp enough to draw attention. His words ripple through the section, drawing a few uncomfortable laughs and a handful of sidelong glances. Amara's back stiffens, but she doesn't look his way. Instead, her chin rises, eyes fixed on the next apparatus, her focus unbroken. A judge at the table coughs, shifting his chair, his pen hovering above the scorecard. Coach Elena's eyes narrow, her lips pressed tight. She leans forward, voice barely above a whisper. "Block it out, Amara. You know who you are." Elena's reassurance is quiet, but solid, a lifeline in a sea of scrutiny. Nearby, a teammate fidgets with her hair, casting a worried glance at Amara. Another whispers, "Why do they always do this?" Her friend just shrugs, gaze dropping to her shoes. The tension isn't just in Derek's words, it's in the way the room lets them hang, unchallenged by officials, unaddressed by those in power. Amara closes her eyes for a beat, drawing a breath that steadies her. She remembers other gyms, other voices, the sting of being dismissed before she even began. Her fingers flex, chalk dust swirling, grounding her in the present. "Let them watch," she murmurs under her breath, determination hardening her features. Derek's confidence falters for a split second as a woman beside him shifts away, her forced smile fading. The crowd, once lively, is now subdued, some complicit in their silence, others quietly hoping Amara will rise above it all. Elena leans in again, her words for Amara alone. "You've faced worse. Show them why you're here." Amara nods, her resolve crystallizing. She steps back onto the mat, every muscle coiled, every movement a silent answer to the doubts swirling around her. As she readies herself for the next routine, the atmosphere in the arena shifts. The insult hangs in the air, but so does the sense that Amara's presence is no longer something to be questioned, it's something to be reckoned with. The gym smells of old wood and sweat, thick with memories that cling to every corner. Amara's hands grip the uneven bars, but her mind drifts back to when she was 12, standing at the threshold of a gym that felt too vast, too cold for her small frame. Above her, beams rusted and paint peeled, a stark contrast to the gleaming arenas she now commands. A coach's voice cuts through the haze, sharp and dismissive. "Your body type doesn't fit our brand." The words hang heavy, final. Amara's shoulders tighten, the sting of rejection settling deep beneath her skin. She recalls the cold, clinical email buried in a pile of other refusals, silent gatekeepers barring her path. Back in the present, the bars creak beneath her weight, echoing the burden of those early doubts. Each swing, each release, is a quiet rebellion against the limits others tried to impose. Her mother's voice whispers in her memory, steady and warm. "You belong where you choose to be." Flashbacks flicker. Late nights practicing alone, muscles aching, spirit unyielding. The gym's shadows seem to close in, but Amara's resolve burns brighter, a beacon slicing through years of exclusion. A fellow gymnast watches from the sidelines, eyes wide with admiration and hope. Elena, her coach, catches the glance and offers a small, proud smile. The past is never far, but it no longer defines Amara. Every movement she makes is a testament to resilience, a story told in muscle and grace. The routine continues, the crowds murmur rising and falling like a tide. Amara's body moves with purpose, each motion a silent answer to the ghosts of the past. The bars creak once more, a sound transformed from burden to anthem. The arena falls into a hush as Amara Bell prepares for her dismount. Her muscles tighten, every fiber coiled with years of quiet struggle and whispered doubts. The crowd's gaze is fixed, some skeptical, others hopeful, but all waiting for the moment that will define her. Elena stands at the sidelines, hands clenched, a steady pillar of strength. Amara swings forward, the uneven bars creaking beneath her weight, a sound that echoes the burden of expectation. She launches into the air, body twisting with precision and grace, defying the gravity that seeks to hold her down. Time slows. The world narrows to the arc of her flight and the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. Her landing is solid, feet touching the mat with power and control. The arena erupts, a wave of sound crashing over the silence of doubt. Amara's chest rises and falls, her gaze steady as it meets the eyes of the crowd, silently challenging every unspoken prejudice. Derek Rhodes's face flushes deep red, his earlier confidence unraveling in the face of undeniable excellence. Elena exhales, relief and pride softening her features. The applause is thunderous, but Amara's focus remains inward. This moment isn't about approval, but about claiming her rightful place. Backstage, a young gymnast watches with wide eyes, awe and inspiration shining in her gaze. A judge scribbles, notes, his expression unreadable but attentive. The atmosphere in the arena shifts subtly, a quiet acknowledgement that the old narratives are breaking down. Amara steps back, shoulders squared, the weight of history momentarily lifted. The crowd's energy pulses with a new rhythm, one of respect, recognition, and change. The landing is more than a physical feat. It is a declaration, a silent victory over every barrier that tried to hold her back. The scene closes on Amara's calm breath, the steady beat of a heart refusing to be silenced, and the crowd's rising roar, a promise that this is only the beginning. The arena's energy shifts as Amara's eyes lock with Derek Rhodes across the floor. There's a quiet storm brewing in that gaze, an unspoken challenge that ripples through the crowd. Derek's confident posture falters, a subtle tightening of his jaw betraying the first cracks in his facade. Around him, whispers rise, a low, murmur of anticipation and unease. Amara stands tall, her presence calm but resolute, a silent declaration that the old order is beginning to crumble. The crowd senses the shift, the weight of history pressing down, but also the promise of change. Elena watches from the sidelines, her hands unclenching, a small, proud smile breaking through her usual reserve. A young gymnast nearby catches the moment, her eyes wide with hope, the future reflected in Amara's steady gaze. The judges exchange glances, pens momentarily still, the usual certainty replaced by a flicker of doubt. Derek looks away first, his eyes darting to the floor. The power dynamic quietly but unmistakably altered. The arena holds its breath, the silence heavy with meaning. Amara's gaze remains fixed, a beacon of dignity and strength. The scene closes. On this charged stillness, the promise of justice lingering in the air. The story far from over, but the moment stretches, the weight of years pressing down on every spectator. The crowd's energy shifts again, a subtle but undeniable swell of support rising from the stands. Faces once skeptical now soften, some nodding in quiet approval. The air hums with a new rhythm, a pulse of change that courses through the arena like electricity. Elena's eyes glisten with unshed tears, her breath catching as she watches Amara embody the resilience of generations. Nearby, a judge's hand trembles slightly as he lowers his pen, the finality of old biases beginning to waver. Derek's lips press into a thin line, his earlier arrogance replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. A murmur spreads among the crowd, a collective intake of breath that feels like the first crack in a long-standing wall. Amara's steady gaze sweeps the room once more, a silent promise that this is not the end, but the beginning of a reckoning. The camera lingers on her face, the quiet strength etched in every line, every breath. The scene fades with the weight of possibility hanging in the air, the story far from over, the fight just beginning. A shaky phone camera catches Derek's taunt as Amara readies herself, the jeer slicing through the arena's tension. "That's all she's got?" The teenager, filming, barely breathes, thumb trembling over the record button. The crowd's reaction shifts. Some faces harden, others turn away. A few glance at Amara with new understanding. The video spreads before the dust settles, hashtags like Letterfly and Unseen. No more lighting up feeds across the country. Comments pour in. Anger, exhaustion, stories of their own. "This is why I quit. Same thing happened to my sister. When will it stop?" Amara's calm face, unwavering even as the insult lands, becomes a symbol overnight. News anchors replay the moment, their voices tight with outrage or careful neutrality. Analysts argue on panels about what's really changed in sports, what hasn't. In living rooms and classrooms, the clip is replayed, dissected, and debated. Some viewers feel exposed, the ugliness of bias reflected back at them. Others feel seen for the first time. At the arena, Elena's phone buzzes with notifications, texts from old teammates, messages from strangers, all watching the storm unfold. She glances at Amara, who sits quietly, scrolling through nothing, her expression unreadable, but her posture unbowed. A judge in the arena shifts in his seat, suddenly aware of the cameras, the scrutiny. A group of parents huddle, voices low, unsure whether to defend or distance themselves. The air is thick with a new kind of tension, one that won't fade with the next routine. The video becomes more than a moment. It's a mirror. The world sees itself, its fractures, its failures, its hope for something better. Amara's steady gaze on the paused screen is a quiet challenge to everyone watching. What will you do with the truth now that you can't look away? The locker room is dim, the fluorescent lights humming softly overhead, casting long shadows between rows of lockers. Amara Bell sits alone on a worn bench, methodically lacing her shoes. Around her whispers drift like fragile echoes, snippets of hushed conversations, heavy with unspoken meaning. Teammates avoid her gaze. Some offer fleeting, sympathetic looks. while others turn away, as if wary of being seen with her. Nearby, a girl taps her foot nervously, eyes flickering toward Amara before dropping to the floor. Another shifts uneasily, fingers twisting a bracelet, the weight of untold stories pressing down on the room. The air feels thick with memories of athletes who quietly left, dreams deferred, and the invisible rules that dictate belonging. Amara's breath remains steady, her hands moving with calm precision as she ties the final knot. She hears the faint click of a locker closing, the soft shuffle of retreating footsteps. The walls seem to close in, the space shrinking under the weight of exclusion. Yet within her stillness lies defiance, a refusal to be erased or diminished. Coach Elena Martinez enters quietly, her presence a steady anchor in the charged atmosphere. She offers a small, reassuring smile and sits beside Amara without a word. Their shared silence speaks volumes, solidarity in a space that often feels isolating. A teammate approaches hesitantly, voice low and trembling. "It's not right," she says, eyes flickering with doubt and fear. Amara nods, the unspoken, understanding passing between them like a quiet pact. The usual chatter of the locker room fades into a heavy pause, the echoes of exclusion lingering, but no longer going unchallenged. Amara's composed presence begins to shift the atmosphere, a quiet promise that the story is far from over. The scene closes on Amara's steady hands, tying her shoes, a symbol of resilience and readiness for the battles yet to come. The gym's air is heavy with dust and forgotten dreams. Amara Bell stands at the threshold of an elite training facility, clutching a worn folder with frayed edges. The polished floors gleam under harsh fluorescent lights, but the coldness of the place seeps into her bones. Inside the folder are emails and notes, silent witnesses to a history of exclusion. A flashback takes her back to when she was 12. Small and determined, she stands outside the imposing gym doors. Inside, a coach's clipped voice cuts through the quiet halls. "Her body type doesn't fit our brand." The words echo like a slammed gate, closing before she even steps inside. The camera lingers on a cold, clinical email, its text stark and unyielding, a ledger that tracks potential but erases possibility. Back in the present, Amara flips through. The folder, each page a testament to countless girls like her. Overlooked, passed over, erased. The gym's hidden ledger is more than numbers. It's a record of systemic bias, a quiet but powerful force shaping futures. A janitor passes by, eyes briefly meeting Amara's. A silent nod is exchanged, a shared understanding of battles fought. In shadows, the scene shifts to a close-up of the ledger's pages. Names crossed out, scores adjusted, complaints buried. The weight of these documents presses down, a physical reminder of barriers built to keep some out. Amara's fingers trace the lines, her resolve hardening. This ledger is not just history, it's a call to action. The gym's echoing silence is broken by the distant sound of a young gymnast's laughter, a fragile hope threading through the cold air. Amara closes the folder, her gaze lifting to the horizon beyond the gym's walls. The numbers may have tried to define her, but they will not dictate the future. Rosa moves quietly through the dim corridors of the U.S. Gymnastics headquarters, her footsteps muffled against the cold floor. The building hums softly, a stark contrast to the storm of secrets she carries. She approaches a trash bin overflowing with shredded papers, the discarded remnants of complaints long ignored. Kneeling down, her fingers tremble as she sifts through torn documents. Stories of unfair judging, biased scores, and appeals that vanished without a trace. Her breath catches as she pieces together fragments, the weight of years pressing heavily on her shoulders. These papers are more than refuse. They are the hidden truths of a system designed to protect itself. Rosa's eyes scan names and dates, patterns emerging like a map of injustice etched in silence. She glances nervously down the empty hallway, the quiet broken only by the distant hum of fluorescent lights. With a steadying breath, she gathers the papers, carefully folding them into an envelope addressed to Marcus Lee, a journalist known for his relentless pursuit of truth. The risk is immense. Discovery could mean losing her job, isolation, or worse. Yet Rosa's resolve is unshaken. This act of courage is a beacon in the darkness, a quiet rebellion against the forces that have long kept these stories buried. As she seals the envelope, a fellow janitor passes by, offering a brief nod of solidarity. Rosa's hands steady, heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. The scene closes on her determined face, shadows playing across her features, the weight of truth finally ready to be unleashed. The hallway outside the gym is a corridor of hushed tones and exchanged glances. Staff members, from trainers to cleaning crews, move cautiously, their conversations reduced to whispers, heavy with unspoken truths. "It happened again," one voice murmurs, barely audible but weighted with resignation. Another nods, eyes darting nervously, as if the walls might betray their words. This quiet network of resistance weaves through the building like a hidden current. Stories of biased judging, unfair treatment, and overlooked complaints pass from ear to ear, each retelling a thread in a tapestry of systemic injustice. The cleaning crew shares a knowing look, their shared experiences binding them in silent solidarity. A young trainer pauses by a locker, lowering his voice to recount an incident where a promising athlete was dismissed without cause. His hands tremble slightly, betraying the fear beneath his calm exterior. Nearby, a receptionist glances over her shoulder, her expression tight as she listens to the murmurs, caught between complicity and conscience. The atmosphere thickens, the usual hum of routine replaced by charged stillness. Yet within this quiet exchange lies a powerful force, a collective acknowledgement that the system's cracks are widening. These whispers are not mere complaints. They are the first steps toward change, a subtle but unbreakable pact among those refusing to stay silent. As the scene fades, the camera lingers on a small group huddled near the exit, faces a mix of determination and fear. The network is invisible to most, but its impact undeniable. The story is no longer just about one athlete. It is about a community awakening, ready to confront the shadows that have long held them back. The sleek boardroom sits high above the gym, its glass walls reflecting the city skyline and the tension inside. U.S. gymnastics executives gather around a polished table, faces composed but eyes sharp. The viral clip plays silently on a screen, Derek Rhodes's taunts looping in the background, a stark reminder of the storm brewing below. Claire Whitaker, the CEO, sits at the head of the table, her expression unreadable. She leans forward, fingers steepled, and breaks the silence with a cold, measured voice. Damage control. Offer her a sponsorship. The room shifts. Some nod, others exchange wary glances. The decision is strategic, not moral. A junior executive clears his throat nervously, glancing at the others. Will that be enough? The public is watching. Claire's tight smile doesn't reach her eyes. It's the usual procedure. We contain, we move on. Her words hang heavy, revealing the gulf between appearance and action. A board member taps his pen, the rhythm echoing like a heartbeat in the quiet room. Another shifts uncomfortably, eyes flickering to the door as if expecting a reckoning. The atmosphere is thick with unspoken fears and calculated moves, power cloaked in calm. Outside, the city pulses unaware, but inside these walls, the system's fragility is palpable. The sponsorship offer is a bandage on a deeper wound, a gesture to appease without addressing the core. Claire's gaze lingers on the screen. The image of Amara's calm defiance, a silent challenge to their authority. As the meeting adjourns, the executives rise with practiced grace, their footsteps echoing down the marble halls. The real reckoning waits beyond these glass walls, in the arena, in the hearts of those who refuse to be silenced. Marcus Lee sits at his cluttered desk, the glow of his laptop casting shadows across a worn notebook. The pages are dense with scribbled names, dates, and fragments of stories. Athletes overlooked, complaints dismissed, voices lost in the noise. Each entry is a thread in a tapestry of systemic neglect, a pattern emerging beneath the surface. He flips to a page marked with Amara's name underlined twice, his eyes narrow, determination sharpening. This story is bigger than one athlete. It's a reckoning long overdue. The margins are crowded with notes, mentions of biased judging, unexplained score changes, hushed warnings. The truth hides in these gaps, waiting to be uncovered. A colleague leans over, offering a hesitant cup of coffee. Marcus nods in thanks, but remains focused, fingers tracing the inked lines. The newsroom buzzes around him, but his world narrows to the notebook and the weight of what it holds. He reads aloud a passage from an anonymous letter. "They told me to change my hair, said my skin was distracting." The room falls silent, the words settling like a stone in the air. Marcus's voice is steady but charged, carrying the weight of countless silenced stories. Outside the window, city lights flicker, indifferent to the battles waging within these walls. Marcus closes the notebook, resolve etched into his features. The margins may be filled with missing names, but he intends to give them voice. The scene ends with Marcus typing the headline that will shatter the silence, the first salvo in a fight for justice that can no longer be ignored. The glossy envelope feels heavy in Amara's hands, its weight a stark contrast to the fragile hope inside. She sits alone in her modest apartment. City sounds a distant murmur beyond the window. The Federation's emblem gleams on the letterhead, but the words within carry a different message, an offer wrapped in silence and compromise. Her fingers tremble as she unfolds the pages, scanning the generous sponsorship proposal. It promises exposure, resources, and a platform, yet the fine print binds her voice tightly. No interviews, no public mention of the incident. The generosity feels less like support and more like a gilded cage. Amara's eyes linger on the terms, the reality settling like a heavy weight in her chest. This is not victory, it's a concession, a bandage over a wound still raw beneath the surface. Memories flood back. Countless times she was told to smile, to be grateful, to stay in her place. Her phone buzzes in the corner. A message from Elena reads, "Remember who you are. This is just the beginning." The words spark a flicker of strength amid the suffocating terms. Across town, the Federation's boardroom buzzes with quiet satisfaction. Executives exchange nods, pleased with their damage control. The sponsorship is a calculated move, a shield against deeper scrutiny. True change remains elusive, hidden behind polished statements and public relations. Back in her apartment, Amara folds the letter carefully, placing it beside her chalk bag. Her gaze hardens, resolve crystallizing. She will not be silenced. The offer is a challenge, a test of her spirit. The scene closes on Amara's steady breath, the quiet determination in her eyes, and the unopened door to the future she intends to claim on her own terms. The newsroom hums softly, punctuated by the rhythmic tapping of keyboards and the shuffle of papers. Marcus Lee sits alone at his desk, the glow of his computer screen illuminating a message that demands attention. The email is unsigned, its words raw and piercing. "They told me to change my hair, said my skin was distracting." The weight of the testimony settles like a dense fog over the room. Marcus reads the lines aloud, voice steady but charged with restrained emotion. Around him, colleagues pause, their expressions shifting from curiosity to solemn recognition. The courage of the anonymous sender cracks the long-standing silence that has shielded systemic bias. This is more than a complaint. It's a challenge to the entrenched order. Outside the window, city life carries on, oblivious to the quiet revolution stirring within these walls. Marcus leans back, eyes closing briefly, the burden and hope intertwined in his chest. He knows this story is a fissure in the wall of denial, a spark that could ignite change. A junior reporter approaches hesitantly, hands trembling as she places a fresh stack of notes beside him. Marcus nods, grateful but laser-focused. The newsroom buzzes quietly, a hive awakening, energized by the growing momentum of truth. The camera lingers on the email screen, the words glowing softly, a voice piercing the darkness, a call to dismantle the status quo. Marcus's fingers hover over the keyboard, poised to amplify the message that can no longer be silenced. The scene closes with Marcus typing the headline destined to echo far beyond the newsroom. Breaking the silence, voices rise against bias. The gym's quiet hum is punctuated by the soft shuffle of footsteps as Elena Martinez sits beside Amara in the dim locker room. The weight of the day presses down, but Elena's gaze is steady, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She speaks, low, voice laced with conflict. "I want to protect you, but this is bigger than us." Amara looks up, eyes searching, sensing the storm swirling beyond the walls. "What if they push back? What if it costs us everything?" Elena's breath catches, a flicker of fear crossing her features before resolve hardens. "Then we stand, together. I've seen what silence costs. I won't let that be your story." A knock at the door startles them. A junior coach peeks in, eyes wide with uncertainty. "The board wants to meet. Now." Elena nods, rising slowly. "It's time." As they walk the corridor, Elena's mind races, balancing loyalty to the team, the fear of retaliation, and the burning need for justice. She recalls the countless athletes who suffered in silence, the whispered warnings, the veiled threats. Her support for Amara is unwavering, but the path ahead is fraught. In the boardroom, the air is thick with tension. Executives exchange glances, some wary, others dismissive. Elena's presence is a quiet challenge, her calm voice cutting through the murmurs. "We can't ignore this any longer. It's not just about one athlete. It's about the integrity of our sport." A senior board member leans forward, skepticism etched in his eyes. "And what do you propose?" Elena meets his gaze, unwavering. Transparency, accountability, change. The room falls into a heavy pause, the weight of her words settling. Outside, the world watches. The quiet battle unfolding in these walls, a testament to courage and conviction. Back in the locker room, Amara exhales, the burden shared but not lessened. Elena's hand finds hers, a silent promise of solidarity. The fight is just beginning, but they face it side by side, unbroken and resolute. The glow of screens lights up faces worldwide. Living rooms, cafes, dorm rooms, offices. The viral clip of Derek's heckling and Amara's poised response spreads like wildfire. Hashtags, letterfly, and unseen no more trend globally, sparking conversations that ripple far beyond the arena. In a cramped apartment, a teenager watches the clip, eyes wide with a mix of anger and hope. Her mother leans in, whispering, "This is what change looks like." Across continents, messages flood social media, support, outrage, and stories of similar struggles, weaving a tapestry of shared experience. News anchors replay the moment, their voices a blend of shock and cautious optimism. Panelists debate systemic bias in sports, the weight of tradition clashing with demands for justice. The world's gaze becomes both a spotlight and a mirror, reflecting deep fractures and the possibility of healing. Back in the arena, Elena's phone buzzes relentlessly, texts from former athletes, messages from strangers, all bearing witness to the growing movement. Amara sits quietly, scrolling through the flood of support, her expression calm but resolute. A judge shifts uneasily, aware of the scrutiny now focused on every decision. Parents in the stands exchange looks, some nodding in solidarity, others biting their lips in discomfort. The atmosphere is charged, a collective reckoning unfolding in real time. The scene closes on Amara's steady gaze, the weight of history balanced with the promise of a new chapter. The hashtags are more than words. They are a call to action, a chorus rising from the margins to center stage. The gym's air is thick, with quiet determination as Amara locks eyes with Rosa, Marcus, and Elena. No words pass between them, but the weight of shared purpose fills the space. Each nod, each subtle smile, is a thread weaving an unspoken alliance. The resistance is not loud, it is steady, unbreakable. Rosa adjusts her cleaning cart, her movements deliberate, a small act of defiance in a place that once demanded silence. Marcus taps his pen thoughtfully, eyes scanning the room, aware of the stories yet to be told. Elena's steady gaze offers reassurance, a silent vow to stand firm. Around them, the gym hums with the energy of change. Staff who once whispered in corners now exchange glances of solidarity. The network of quiet warriors grows, their strength found in shared glances and unspoken promises. Amara's breath is calm, her posture unwavering. She knows the path ahead is long, but the burden feels lighter with allies at her side. The system's walls may be high, but cracks are forming, and the light is beginning to seep through. The scene closes on the four figures standing together, a tableau of resilience and hope. The fight is far from over, but the silent pact forged. Here is a beacon, a promise that change is coming, carried forward by those brave enough to stand. The arena is a living hush, every seat filled, yet every person silent as Amara Bell stands at the edge of the runway. The lights are bright, but the pressure is brighter, pressing down with the weight of 1,000 expectations. Amara's fingers flex at her sides, chalk dust floating to the floor. Derek's glare bores into her back, a challenge she refuses to acknowledge. Instead, she closes her eyes for a heartbeat, letting the sound of her own breathing ground her. The echo of the crowd's anticipation pulses in her ears, a low, collective heartbeat. Elena, her coach, stands just off the mat, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles pale. She doesn't call out, doesn't offer last-minute advice. She knows. Amara is beyond words now. The judges lean forward, pens poised, their faces unreadable. A young gymnast in the wings watches, hands clasped in hope, absorbing every detail. Amara opens her eyes, vision narrowing to the vault ahead. Her jaw sets, shoulders square. Every movement as she steps forward is deliberate, a quiet act of defiance against the doubt that's followed her for years. The audience leans in, breaths caught, the moment balanced on a knife's edge. Derek shifts in his seat, arms crossed, his confidence a brittle mask. Around him, whispers ripple, a mix of skepticism and anticipation. Amara feels it all, but lets none of it touch her core. She takes her mark, the hush deepening. In this suspended moment, she is both alone and the focus of the world. Her body is tense, ready, every muscle remembering the journey that brought her here. The tension in the air is electric, the stakes higher than any medal. Amara exhales, the sound barely audible, and begins her approach, the world holding its breath as she moves. The vault stands before Amara like a silent judge, gleaming under the harsh lights of the arena. As she steps onto the runway, the weight she carries is more than physical. It's the burden of years of systemic imbalance. The apparatus seems to lean just slightly, a subtle but powerful metaphor for the uneven playing field she's faced since the beginning. Judges sit poised, pens hovering above scorecards, their eyes lingering longer than necessary on Amara's form. The exchanged glances between them speak volumes, hidden biases cloaked in professionalism. The crowd senses the tension, a collective breath held in quiet anticipation, waiting to see if the system will bend or break. Amara's footsteps are steady, each stride echoing with memories of doors slammed shut and opportunities denied. Elena watches from the sidelines, her hands clenched tightly, heart pounding with a mix of hope and fear. The arena's energy thickens, charged with the unspoken battle unfolding between tradition and change. A fellow competitor shifts uneasily, eyes flicking toward Amara with a mix of respect and sympathy. Nearby, a judge's hand trembles slightly as he lowers his pen, the weight of conscience pressing against years of routine and denial. Amara's focus sharpens, her body a vessel of grace and power. She knows the stakes are higher than any medal. This moment is a reckoning. The vault is not just an obstacle. It's a symbol of the systemic imbalance she's determined to overcome. As she launches forward, the world seems to tilt with her, the apparatus a silent witness to her defiance. The crowd's murmur swells, a tide of support rising beneath the surface of doubt. The scene closes on Amara's poised form, mid-air, a figure of strength suspended between past injustice and future triumph, the arena holding its breath for what comes next. Amara's feet pound the runway, each step a thunderous echo of years spent fighting to be seen. The crowd's noise fades into a distant hum, replaced by the steady rhythm of her heartbeat and the sharp inhale of breath. Every muscle is coiled, every fiber alive with purpose. This is more than a race toward the vault. It's a sprint against a history of doubt and dismissal. Elena stands at the sidelines, hands trembling slightly, eyes locked on Amara's form. Her faith is unwavering, but the weight of the moment presses heavy. The silence around them is thick, a collective holding of breath as the world watches a young black woman claim her space. A judge shifts in his seat, pen poised but hesitant. The usual certainty wavers, replaced by a flicker of awareness. Nearby, a fellow competitor's gaze is steady, respect and quiet solidarity shining through. Amara's strides lengthen, power surging through her legs. Memories flash. Closed doors, whispered prejudices, the sting of being overlooked. Each step is a defiance, a declaration that she will not be diminished or erased. The arena's energy tightens, the tension palpable. The crowd leans forward, sensing the gravity of the moment. Elena's breath catches, a silent prayer sent into the charged air. Amara's eyes fix on the vault ahead, every detail sharp and clear. The runway narrows, the distance shrinking, but her resolve expands. She is not alone. She carries the hopes of those who came before and those who will follow. As she reaches the vault, the world seems to pause, the silence deep and profound. The final sprint is not just a physical feat, it is a powerful testament to resilience, strength, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Amara launches off the vault with a burst of energy that seems to suspend time. Her body twists and turns through the air, each movement fluid and precise, a dance of strength and grace. The crowd's collective breath hangs, caught in the space between hope and disbelief. In this suspended moment, she is untouchable, symbol of defiance against every doubt cast her way. The judges' pens hover, their usual certainty replaced by a flicker of awe. The tension in the arena is palpable, the air thick with anticipation. Elena's hands clench at her sides, her eyes never leaving Amara's soaring form. The young gymnast's flawless execution is a quiet rebuke to the biases that have shadowed her journey. Below, a young fan's eyes widen, reflecting the brilliance above. The atmosphere shifts, the crowd's energy transforming from skeptical to reverent. The flight is more than a physical feat. It is a statement, a breaking of barriers, a rewriting of narratives. As Amara descends, her heels kiss the mat with controlled power. The landing is solid, a triumphant punctuation to a routine built on resilience. The arena erupts, the roar, a wave of validation washing over years of struggle and silent battles. Derek's face tightens, his earlier confidence unraveling in the face of undeniable excellence. Elena exhales, a smile breaking through her tension. The crowd's applause is thunderous, but Amara's focus remains inward. This moment is hers, a victory forged in quiet strength. The scene closes on Amara's steady breath, the calm determination in her eyes, and the crowd's rising roar. A promise that this flight is just the beginning of a greater journey. The arena falls into a heavy stillness as the scoreboard flickers to life, its glowing numbers cutting through the tension like a beacon. Amara Bell stands poised, her breath steady, the culmination of years of struggle balanced on this single moment. Derek Rhodes shifts in his seat, the confident mask he wears now slipping, his jaw tightening as the digits reveal a truth he cannot deny. The score appears, Amara is crowned Olympic champion. The silence shatters into a wave of applause and cheers, a collective release of disbelief and celebration. Yet beneath the roar, a stunned quiet lingers, a recognition that this victory transcends medals and routines. It is a reckoning. Elena's eyes glisten with tears she doesn't wipe away, her hands trembling as she clutches the bench's edge. Judges exchange guarded glances, pens lowered, the usual certainty replaced by reluctant respect. The system, long resistant to change, is forced to confront what it tried to conceal. Derek's face flushes a deep red, his earlier arrogance unraveling under the weight of undeniable excellence. He looks away, jaw clenched, the power he once wielded now a fragile illusion fading fast. Around him, the crowd's energy shifts. Some rise in celebration, others caught in the gravity of change. Amara's gaze sweeps the arena, calm and unwavering, a silent promise etched into every line of her face. This moment is more than personal triumph. It is a challenge to the biases that have shadowed her journey and a beacon for those who follow. Backstage, a young gymnast watches, eyes wide with awe and hope. Elena's hand finds Amara's shoulder in a quiet gesture of solidarity and pride. The arena pulses with new energy, old narratives cracking beneath the weight of truth. The scene closes on the scoreboard's glowing numbers, a symbol of change, shining through darkness, and Amara's steady breath, the sound of resilience echoing in the hearts of all who witness. The roar of the crowd fades as reporters converge on Derek Rhodes, their microphones thrust forward like probing fingers. The flashbulbs pop relentlessly, illuminating his face, once confident, now pale and trembling. "Why did you target her?" a voice demands, sharp and unyielding. Derek's lips part, then close, his voice cracking as he stammers, I didn't think she'd win." The cameras linger, capturing every flicker of doubt and shame. His hands shake visibly, fingers curling into fists that betray his crumbling composure. Around him, murmurs ripple through the press corps, a collective reckoning unfolding in real time. Elena stands nearby, her gaze steady on Amara, who watches silently from a distance. The weight of the moment presses on everyone present, the power dynamic shifting with each question asked and each faltering answer given. The system's facade is cracking, exposed under the harsh glare of public scrutiny. A young journalist scribbles notes furiously, eyes wide with the gravity of the story breaking before her. Another reporter leans in, voice low but intense. "Do you regret your words?" Derek's silence speaks louder than any reply, the absence of denial a tacit admission. The crowd's energy is electric. Some faces gleam with vindication, others with disbelief. The old guard's grip loosens, the quiet collapse of privilege unfolding not with a bang, but with the steady pressure of truth. As the press moves on, the camera lingers on Derek's retreating figure, alone, diminished, his power dissolved by the very spotlight he sought to control. Nearby, Amara's calm presence stands in stark contrast, a beacon of resilience and quiet justice. The scene closes on the flashbulbs fading, the murmurs settling into a profound silence that speaks volumes. The reckoning has begun. The arena's roar softens into a gentle murmur as Elena Martinez steps forward, her eyes locking with Amara Bell's. In that silent exchange, years of struggle and resilience pass between them, unspoken but deeply felt. Elena's arms open slowly, wrapping Amara in a quiet embrace, a shield against the world's harshness. No words are spoken, none are needed. The weight of the day, the battles fought in silence and the triumph earned through unwavering determination, hang heavily in the air. Amara leans into the embrace, her breath steadying, the tension melting away into a shared victory. Around them, the crowd's cheers fade into a reverent hush. Cameras capture the moment, two figures bound by trust and strength, a testament to the power of quiet support. Elena's hand rests gently on Amara's back, grounding her, reminding her she is not alone. A young gymnast watches from the sidelines, eyes wide with awe and hope. This scene is a passing of the torch, a promise that the fight continues, but is no longer solitary. Elena's steady presence is a beacon, a reminder that resilience is nurtured in the community. As they part, Amara's gaze lifts, shining with renewed resolve. The arena pulses with new energy, the crowd's cheers swelling once more, but this time carrying a deeper meaning. A celebration not just of victory, but of justice quietly won. The camera lingers on their faces, the quiet triumph etched in every line, every breath. The story is far from over, but in this embrace, a chapter closes with dignity and hope. The arena's atmosphere transforms as the crowd rises, a wave of sound swelling from tentative applause to a thunderous roar. Faces, once marked by doubt, now glow with admiration, some wiping away tears, others raising fists in solidarity. The energy is electric, a collective release of years of tension and skepticism. Strangers exchange glances, smiles breaking through barriers built by bias. The murmurs of disbelief give way to chants of support, voices joining in a chorus that fills the vast space. The shift is palpable, a barrier shattered, a new standard set. Amara stands poised, her calm defiance radiating strength. Her eyes sweep the crowd, catching the hopeful gazes of young girls inspired by her journey. The arena becomes a sanctuary of change, a place where dignity is celebrated and prejudice confronted. Elena watches from the sidelines, pride shining in her eyes. Nearby, a judge lowers his pen, the weight of old biases lifting in the face of undeniable excellence. The crowd's transformation is more than reaction. It is recognition, a collective awakening. The scene captures the moment when skepticism fades, replaced by reverence. The roar is not just for a champion, but for justice quietly won. The energy pulses through the arena, a heartbeat of hope that promises the fight continues, but with new momentum. As the cheers rise, the camera lingers on Amara's serene face, a beacon of resilience and change. The story moves forward, carried by the voices of those who refuse to be silent. The arena's roar subsides, leaving behind a profound stillness. Derek Rhodes remains in his seat, but the confident posture he once projected has crumbled. His gaze is fixed on the floor, a stark contrast to his earlier arrogance. His hands tremble slightly, a subtle tremor betraying the turmoil within. The reporters have moved on, their questions directed elsewhere, their focus shifting toward the champion who stands tall despite the adversity. Derek is left alone, isolated, in the aftermath of his actions. The crowd's attention drifts, their cheers now distant echoes, replaced by a collective understanding that the old order is fading. A woman nearby observes him with a subtle, knowing smile, her eyes reflecting the quiet justice of the moment. A young fan clutches a worn poster of Amara, her gaze steady and hopeful. The energy in the arena has shifted, power dynamics reversed without a single shout. Derek's lips press into a thin line, the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes a stark contrast to the jeering voice that echoed through the arena earlier. He glances up briefly, catching the averted gazes of those around him, the unwillingness to meet his eyes a silent condemnation. Amara's presence is a beacon of calm strength, her dignity amplified by Derek's dissent. The applause softens, but the message is clear. Change has come. His downfall speaks volumes, a quiet, unspoken apology etched in a face consumed by the weight of his own prejudice. The arena glows beneath the floodlights as Amara Bell steps onto the highest tier of the podium, gold medal catching every shimmer. She stands tall, her posture composed, her eyes searching the crowd. All around, young girls watch with hope and awe. Coaches nod in silent respect, and quiet allies exchange knowing glances. In this moment, Amara's gaze holds the promise of a new era, one born not just from victory, but from dignity reclaimed. Her breath is calm, steady, a rhythm that grounds her amid the storm of applause. The weight of history rests on her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a crown. Elena stands nearby, her face a blend of pride and relief. Their bond is visible in a brief, meaningful look, a reminder that triumph is never solitary. The crowd's energy pulses, a living current of change. The old order has cracked, the foundations of exclusion shaken by Amara's resilience. In the stands, a young girl clutches her mother's hand, eyes shining with the realization that she, too, could belong on that stage. Amara's smile, small but radiant, is a silent promise to every child who has ever felt pushed aside. Derek lingers at the edge of the celebration, his presence diminished, his gaze lowered. No one offers him comfort. The world has shifted, and he is left behind. The applause is not just for Amara's athleticism, but for the justice her presence represents. The judges, once rigid, now look on with a grudging respect, their authority quietly redefined. As the anthem plays, Amara lifts her head, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She knows this gold is not the end, but the beginning of something greater. Her voice, soft but certain, carries through the arena. This is just the start. The words ripple outward, a call to action, a beacon for those still waiting for their moment. The camera lingers on her face, strong, serene, unyielding. The story is far from over. The future is wide open, and Amara stands ready to lead. The bell above the door jingles softly as Derek Rhodes steps into the neighborhood coffee shop, expecting the usual nods and smiles. Instead, he's met with a cool, professional distance. The barista, a black teenager with sharp eyes and a steady hand, greets him with a polite but measured tone. "What can I get for you today?" she asks, her voice calm but firm. Derek orders his usual latte, but when the cup is placed before him, it's filled with decaf, a subtle but unmistakable signal. Regular customers glance up, some exchanging knowing looks, others smirking quietly. The warmth of the cafe feels replaced by an invisible barrier, a silent rebuke for the man who once wielded privilege without question. He stirs the drink absent-mindedly, the bitter taste a stark contrast to the sweetness he expected. His eyes scan the room, catching the wary gazes of patrons who now cross the street to avoid him. The barista's hands move with deliberate care, a quiet assertion of dignity in a space that once felt unchallenged. Outside, the city hums with life, but inside the cafe, time seems to slow. Derek's presence is met with a coldness that speaks volumes. No words are exchanged, but the message is clear. The power he once held has quietly slipped away, replaced by a subtle but profound reversal. A young woman at a nearby table watches him with a mixture of curiosity and satisfaction. She whispers something to her friend, who nods, their conversation fading into the background hum of espresso machines and soft music. Derek's gaze falls to his cup, the realization settling in. The world is changing, and he is no longer at its center. The scene closes on the empty chair across from him, the untouched sugar packets, and the faint echo of footsteps fading into the street outside, a quiet testament to the shifting tides of justice. Derek Rhodes sits at his kitchen table, the early morning light casting long shadows across the cluttered surface. His phone rests in his palm, screen glowing with the familiar grid of notifications, or rather, the lack thereof. He refreshes his inbox again and again, but the emptiness persists. No congratulatory messages, no invitations, no apologies, just a string of unread promotions and a few unsubscribes from mailing lists he never noticed before. He scrolls through his contacts, thumb hovering over names he once called allies. The silence is deafening. Those who once sought his approval now keep their distance, their absence a quiet indictment. He types out a message, "Let's talk?" to an old friend, but the response never comes. The digital void mirrors the social one, a slow erasure of relevance that stings more than any public rebuke. Outside, the world moves on. Cars pass, neighbors chat, life continues. Inside, Derek's isolation grows. He checks his voicemail, only to find a string of missed calls with no messages left behind. Even the group chats have gone quiet, the conversations moving on without him. He sets the phone down, the weight of disconnection pressing in. The power he once took for granted has vanished, replaced by a gnawing sense of irrelevance. The kitchen clock ticks on, marking time he can't reclaim. Derek glances at the empty chair across from him, the silence between the walls growing. Heavier. A single notification finally pings. A reminder for a bill due, nothing more. He sighs, the sound swallowed by the stillness of the room. The world he once dominated now moves forward without him, his influence reduced to a forgotten thread in the digital tapestry. The scene closes on Derek staring at his phone, the screen dimming to black, the quiet finality of his faded privilege, echoing in the empty room. The morning sun filters through the tall windows of the U.S. Gymnastics headquarters, casting long beams across the polished conference table. Marcus Lee's exposé has landed like a thunderclap, shaking the foundation of the organization. Headlines scream of injustice, and the weight of public scrutiny presses heavily on every executive's shoulders. Inside the boardroom, portraits of past presidents stare down at a gathering of decision-makers. The air is thick with tension as Claire Whitaker, the newly appointed CEO, stands to address the room. Her voice is calm but resolute. "We cannot ignore the truth any longer. It's time for real change." The board members exchange uneasy glances, some nodding in reluctant agreement, others resisting the tide. Policies are drafted, signatures collected. Each stroke of the pen a small victory against years of denial. The Federation announces its first black CEO, a symbolic and substantive step toward inclusivity. Amara's vault becomes the new emblem, displayed proudly in the lobby, a beacon of progress and hope. Staff members who once whispered in corners now speak openly, their voices shaping a culture that finally listens. The gym's halls, once echoing with silence, now hum with cautious optimism. Yet beneath the surface, old regrets linger. A senior executive sighs deeply, recalling missed opportunities and ignored warnings. The scars of systemic bias run deep, and healing will take time. But the shift is undeniable, a turning point etched in new rules, fresh faces, and a collective commitment to justice. Outside, the city moves forward, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding within these walls. The scene closes on a framed photo of Amara's triumphant vault, sunlight glinting off the glass, a symbol of change hard-won and the journey still ahead. The trophy case stands quietly in the hallway of Amara's old high school, bathed in the soft glow of afternoon light filtering through tall windows. Inside, her gold medal gleams brightly among faded ribbons and dusty trophies, silent witnesses to years of struggle and triumph. Students gather nearby, their faces a mix of awe and disbelief, whispering stories of the girl who defied expectations and shattered ceilings. Teachers pause as they pass, memories flickering in their eyes. Remembrances of doubts once held, now replaced by pride swelling quietly within them. This display is more than a collection of awards. It is a testament to resilience, a promise that the future will be different for those who follow. A group of younger athletes stands close, eyes wide with hope and inspiration. They see in Amara's achievement a path forward, a beacon lighting the way through barriers that once seemed insurmountable. The janitor, who witnessed many of the quiet battles behind the scenes, moves carefully to adjust the lighting, his movements deliberate and respectful. The air is thick with unspoken acknowledgement, the legacy redefined, barriers broken, and stories rewritten. This trophy case no longer merely showcases victories. It shines as a symbol of change, radiating brightly in the halls where history was made. As the camera lingers on the gold medal, the scene fades with the soft murmur of voices, carrying the promise of new beginnings echoing through the school corridors. In a modest living room, Zara, a 10-year-old black girl, sits cross-legged on the floor, her eyes glued to a cracked tablet screen. Amara Bell's Olympic routine plays with flawless precision, each flip and twist capturing Zara's imagination. Her mother sits beside her, voice soft and steady, whispering, "That could be you someday." Zara's eyes widen, a spark igniting. Within, a dream taking shape, where once there was only doubt. The worn carpet beneath her seems to fade, replaced by the vast arenas and roaring crowds of possibility. The room is small, but Zara's aspirations stretch far beyond its walls. Her mother watches quietly, pride mingling with hope and cautious optimism. She remembers her own childhood dreams, the barriers she faced, and the strength it took to keep believing. Now she sees a new path opening for Zara, one paved by courage and resilience. A family photo on the wall shows generations of women who fought silently for change. Zara glances at it, drawing strength from the legacy she carries forward. The tablet's glow reflects in her eyes, a beacon of hope and determination. Outside, the neighborhood hums with life, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding inside this small space. Zara's fingers trace the screen, her heart pounding. With the promise of what could be, the future feels tangible, within reach. The scene closes on Zara's face, radiant with possibility, and her mother's hand resting gently on her shoulder, a silent vow that the next generation will rise, stronger and freer than before. The U.S. Gymnastics boardroom feels different now, lighter, yet charged with purpose. Portraits of past presidents still line the walls, but new faces have joined the ranks, reflecting a broader, more diverse leadership. The air hums with cautious optimism as the new CEO, a poised black woman, presides over the meeting with calm authority. Staff who once whispered in corners now speak openly, their voices weaving a tapestry of change and accountability. The usual tension of board meetings is tempered by a shared commitment to rebuild trust and reshape the culture. Policies once ignored are now discussed with urgency and transparency. A longtime executive, once skeptical, nods thoughtfully as fresh ideas are proposed. A young staffer takes notes eagerly, her eyes bright with hope. The room pulses with energy, a collective resolve to confront past failures and forge a more inclusive future. Outside the boardroom, the gym buzzes with renewed spirit. Coaches, athletes, and support staff exchange smiles and quiet encouragement, sensing the shift beneath the surface. The system that once resisted change now bends, slowly but unmistakably. The scene closes on the CEO's steady gaze, reflecting both the weight of responsibility and the promise of progress. The new dawn is not without challenges, but it shines brightly, a beacon for all who believe in justice and dignity. The quiet of the evening wraps around Amara Bell as she stands alone before the bathroom mirror, the gold medal resting heavy in her hand. The applause from the arena has faded into a distant echo, leaving only the steady rhythm of her breath and the soft hum of the city beyond the window. Her eyes meet her reflection, searching for the girl who endured whispers, dismissals, and the weight of unseen battles. Her fingers trace the cool metal of the medal, a tangible reminder of every silent struggle and every moment of resilience. The room is small, the light dim, but within this solitude, Amara finds a sanctuary, a space where victory is not measured by cheers, but by the quiet reclaiming of dignity. Memories flicker, faces of those who doubted her, the sting of exclusion, the moments she was told to smile and be grateful. Yet here she stands, unbroken, her spirit etched in every line of her face. The medal is not just a prize, it is a testament to the strength forged in silence. A soft knock at the door breaks the stillness. Elena's voice, warm and steady, offers a quiet greeting. Amara turns, a small smile touching her lips. The coach's presence is a balm, a reminder that no victory is solitary. They share a moment of understanding, a silent conversation that speaks of battles fought and won beyond the spotlight. Elena's hand rests briefly on Amara's shoulder, grounding her in the present and the promise of what lies ahead. Outside, the city lights twinkle, indifferent yet beautiful. Inside, Amara's reflection holds a quiet power, a beacon for those who will come after, a reminder that dignity is found not in noise, but in the strength to stand tall when the world is still. The scene closes on Amara's steady breath, the air, soft glow of the metal, and the unyielding spirit that will carry her forward. The night is quiet, the world dimmed to the soft glow of screens and the hum of distant city life. Amara Bell sits alone, fingers poised over her phone. The gold medal rests beside her, a silent testament to battles fought and won. Her thumb hovers, then taps, sending a single tweet into the digital ether. Gold medals don't end racism, but they make excellent mirrors. The words ripple outward, screens lighting up in bedrooms, offices, and cafes across the globe. Notifications ping softly, a chorus of voices rising in response. Some retweet with hope, others reply with stories of their own struggles, and many simply pause, reflecting on the quiet power of her message. In a small apartment, a young woman reads the tweet, eyes shining with tears and determination. Across continents, activists share the message, weaving it into protests and conversations. The tweet becomes a beacon, a whisper that refuses to be silenced. Back in the arena, Elena Martinez watches the screen, a proud smile touching her lips. Amara's quiet strength has transcended the podium, reaching hearts and minds far beyond the competition. The digital world buzzes with energy, but the message remains clear and steady, a call to action wrapped in humility and truth. It is a reminder that while medals shine brightly, the fight for justice is ongoing, reflected in every mirror held up to society. As the night deepens, Amara's phone glows softly in the dark, the tweet lingering like a promise. The story is far from over. It has only just begun.